Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I have designed another crocheted crop top. This piece is cute, it's comfortable, and it fits perfectly. So before we get started, don't forget to hit that like button. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and please consider subscribing for more. This piece is made with size 4 acrylic yarn, and I am using black and red, but you can use any color or colors that you want. And I am using a 3.5mm crochet hook today, which is a little bit on the small side for this type of yarn, but it will help to prevent gapping in those cups. So we are starting with some basic triangle cups, and the overall sizing on this piece is dependent upon the cup size. So as long as you start your cup with an odd number of chains, the rest of the piece should work out proportionately. I am making a size small, and I am going to start with a chain of 13, and the length of your start chain for your cup should be the same length as the underside of your breast. So, from the point, to put it politely, all the way down to where your rib cage starts. That is the length that you want. And I am just going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook, and then single crochet in each of the next 10 stitches. That is 11 single crochets, and in that 12th stitch, I am going to work 2 single crochets and then a chain 1, and then 2 more single crochets in that same 12th stitch there. And then I'm going to pull that start chain nice and tight, and I am just going to continue to single crochet 11 more down the other side. Here is the base for that cup, and for the remainder of this cup, we are using a double crochet. So I'm going to chain 2, and turning the piece, this chain 2 is going to count as a double crochet. So I am skipping over that first stitch and working a double crochet in the second one, and then I am just going to continue to double crochet all the way up to that chain 1 from the previous row. So I've got 13 double crochets, including that starting chain 2, and in this center chain space, I am going to work 2 double crochets, a chain 1, 2 double crochets, and then I am just going to continue to double crochet in those remaining 13 stitches. This is what that next row looks like, and I have got 15 double crochets on either side of that center chain 1 space. And I am just going to work another double crochet row around this piece using that same increase in that center chain 1 space. Here is that third row. Now again, that starting chain 2 counts as a double crochet, so that last double crochet on the opposite side is going to be worked into the chain 2 space of the previous row. And I am just going to continue working back and forth like this for 3 more rows. So here is that cup. It's starting to curve like it's supposed to, and you can see the center single crochet here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochet rows. And now I'm going to change colors and do 1 more double crochet row. Here is that black row, and the last row on this cup is going to be the base row for the rest of the piece. So again, I am starting with a chain 2, and this does count as a double crochet, so I'm going to skip over that first stitch, and I'm also skipping over the next 2 stitches. And in that third stitch, I am going to work a double crochet and then a chain 1 and another double crochet into that same third stitch. This is what it looks like, and I'm going to skip over the next 2 stitches and do the same thing in that third stitch. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. And I am just going to continue working like this all the way up to that center chain 1 space. So now I've made it back to that chain 1 space, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these sections here. And that last one that I made is in the very last stitch before that chain 1 space. And in the chain 1 space, I am working the same thing, but I'm using a chain 2. So I'm working a double crochet, a chain 2, and another double crochet into that chain 1 space in the center there. And in that very next double crochet stitch, I am going to do, just like the other side, a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and then I'm going to skip 2 and just continue working back down the other side of this piece. And when you get down the other side, I just skipped 2 and placed a double crochet in that last one to match the other side. This cup is finished. You can cut it and weave in those ends, and you will need 2 of these, but don't cut your yarn at the end of the second piece. We are going to use it for the rest. So here are both of those cups, and now we are going to be stitching them together. So I am just starting where I left off on that second cup, and we are just working up this is going to be the outside of the cup. So I am going to chain 1. And turning the piece, I am going to start by making a single crochet in that first space there, and then I'm going to work 3 single crochets into that chain 1 space between those 2 doubles. And I am just going to continue working 3 single crochets in each one of those chain 1 spaces, skipping right over those doubles until I get back up to that center chain 1 space. And we will be changing the stitch pattern on this. So in that chain 1 space, I have made 2 single crochets, a chain 1 for the center, and then a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. And that is the stitch pattern that we are using for the remainder of this cup. This is what it looks like, and I am just ignoring that last space here, and I am going to just continue working up the inside of the opposite cup. So again, just skipping over that first space, and I am working right into that first chain 1 space between those 2 doubles. And again, I am working a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into that same space. And I am just going to continue that stitch pattern all the way up the inside of this other cup. And when you reach that center space again, we are just mimicking the opposite side. So I am going to work a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet for the inside border, and then I'm going to chain 1 for my center, and then I'm going to work 2 single crochets into that same space. And then again, I am going to single crochet down the other side, working 3 single crochets into each one of those chain 1 spaces and 1 into that last space on the end. This is what it looks like, and the next row we are working exactly the same way. So we are just going to single crochet back up this side, and we are using that same increase there in that center chain 1 space. And when you're working back down the inside of this, we are skipping that very last space here where we attached those. We are going to attach the next one up on each side. That is the last row of the top border, and now we can begin adding the side straps. And I am just starting with a chain of 20. And then I'm going to double crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook, and continue to double crochet back down to my piece. Here is that side strap, and I am just going to continue to double crochet along the bottom edging of this piece. So I am going to start by placing 1 double crochet into the side of each one of those single crochet rows from the outside of that cup. And then I'm working 2 double crochets into the side of each double crochet post and chain 2, start chain from each one of those rows on the cup. I will also be working 2 double crochets into the very center stitch of each one of those cups in between the single crochets from that first row, and 2 double crochets in those bottom spaces that we skipped over on the inside of those 2 cups. And once I've made it to the other side, I am going to go ahead and add the opposite side strap, and I am making that the same way. I'm going to chain 20, double crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook, and then double crochet back down. And when you get back to the piece, I am just slip stitching this right into the top of that last double crochet from that bottom row. And you can go ahead and cut that end and weave it in. For the bottom border, I have tied my black yarn into the end of the opposite strap, the first one that we made, and I am going to start with a chain 2. And I am going to skip over the first 2 stitches and work a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into that 3rd stitch there. And then I'm going to skip 2, and the same thing in that next 3rd stitch, I'm going to double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and I'm just going to continue working all the way across the bottom of the piece like this. This is what that row looks like, and I am going to do 2 more rows just like this on this bottom border. So here is that bottom border, and the next thing to do is add the trim. So I have tied on here with my red yarn, and for the trim we are using a single crochet. So I am going to start with a chain 1 and a single crochet right here in this first space on the side. And then I am working into that first chain 1 space between those 2 doubles, and I am going to work 2 single crochets, a chain 2, and then 2 more single crochets into that same stitch. And then I am just skipping right over those double crochets and working that same pattern into that next chain 1 space, 2 singles, 2 chains, 2 singles. And I am going to continue working like that all the way across the bottom of this border. So here is that lower trim, and I am just starting right where I left off. I did add an extra single crochet right here in that last space to match the opposite side, and then I am going to chain 1 for the turn on the corner there, and I am working 2 single crochets into the side of each one of those border rows. So you will have a total of 8 single crochets across this little section here. And again, I'm going to chain 1 for that corner turn, and I am just going to single crochet in each one of these top stitches all the way back to that cup. So I have made it back to the cup, and I am skipping over the last stitch here on the strap and also this very first stitch here on the cup, and I am going to go right into this second one. So we are just going to skip over that whole corner, and now I am just going to continue to single crochet up the side of this cup to that center point there on the top. So here it is, and remember that that first chain 1 space is where we changed the stitch pattern here. So you want this one, this next one here is the first one for the inside. And in that center chain 1 space, we are going to single crochet and then chain 3 and single crochet again in that same space. And this is going to create our loop for the strap to go through. And I am just turning this piece again and working down the inside of this cup. We're going to do the same thing that we did on the bottom, except we're only using one single on each side. So in that chain 1 space between the doubles, I am going to do a single crochet, a chain 2, and another single crochet. And I am just going to continue working like this in each one of those chain 1 spaces, again skipping right over those double crochets. So here I've made it all the way down, and now I am working back up the other side of the opposite cup, and I am going to just continue this pattern mimicking the other side. So I'll do that same increase there on the point, and then single crochet back down the side, skipping over that corner and then along this edge as well. So here is the finished trim row, and I have quite a few ends to weave in here. I just slip stitched this right there to that first single crochet that I made and cut that off. And the next thing that we need to make is these straps, and they are going to go in these chain 3 spaces at the very top of each one of these cups. For the straps, I am starting with a chain of 173, and I am going to slip stitch in the 4th chain from the hook. That is going to give us a little chain 3 loop there to attach this to our piece. And then I am just going to continue to slip stitch all the way down to my start tail. And when you're finished, you will have your loop on one side and both of those tails are on the other side, and I have just tied them in a knot, so no ends to weave. And to attach this to your piece, you are going to insert your hook through the back side of that chain 3 space on the top of that cup and grab your loop on your strap. And I am just going to draw the other end of the strap through this loop and then pull that tight against the top of the cup. Just like this, and I am going to make another one for the other cup over here. And for the lacing, I just drew those straps through the top and bottom holes of the edge of that side strap. And you can cross those straps on the top for additional support if needed, or you can draw them straight down for a more relaxed fit. I would definitely try it on both ways to see what you prefer because they do feel different. That is it for today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please visit my channel and check out my crochet caged halter top that is very similar to this one. And I've also got some fast and easy barefoot sandals that you can wear with these pieces. Thank you so much for watching and for all of your support, and I will see you next time.